Hello friends, welcome to ADO.NET tutorial. In the last video, we talked about execute non-query method of the SqlCommand. Now we will use the ExecuteReader to read a specific table with rows and column of information. So execute non-query we explored, and in this video we will explore ExecuteReader method. The SqlCommand object can run select queries in database using the ExecuteReader method. Previously, we talked about execute non-query, right? Execute non-query is useful for data manipulation as well as data definition. But if you write a select statement, we know that the database will return records in the form of rows and columns. So we need a special object as a return type. That's why here we make use of ExecuteReader method. The ExecuteReader method returns DataReader object, and the DataReader object is useful to process the data fetched from the database. So the fetched data is not a single data like rows affected in our previous case. Here it will be a table of information. So we need a special object, and the object is DataReader. So SqlCommand method is ExecuteReader. You make a call to ExecuteReader, and ExecuteReader will execute the command text. This time the command text will be select query and hits the database. Database will give you the table, and the table will be processed by the data reader. So the return type will be data reader, and it takes care of reading the table of data. Data reader can read rows of data one by one in forward only iteration manner using its read method. So we can use the read method and we can iterate through the records. So we know that our database is SQL Server. So Northwind DB, and we hit that with the ExecuteReader method. So ExecuteReader, it carries the select statement. Since it executes the select statement, the return will be of type data reader, and data reader will give you the table of records. So here you can see there are 4 rows of record. Using the read method, you can iterate through these records. So the very first time the record pointer will be pointing at this location, and once you make a read, it will retrieve all these value, and at the same time it will advance the record pointer to the next record. Right? Using the read method, you will fetch the content and advance the record pointer. So likewise, you can make a call to read multiple times. When you are reading the last record, it will fetch content of the last record and moves the pointer to the null entry. So the record pointer will be at this location, and when you make a call to read will not succeed and it will state null. So based on this, you can form the loop. The read method returns false. So specified null, right? It returns false when there is no more record to process. So here there is a record to process. When you make a call to read, it will give this record to you and advances the record pointer here. And when you make a call to read again, that time it will give false because there is no record to process at this location. All 4 records were already read, right? We can only read the fetched data and we are not allowed to modify it. So that means here we cannot modify the record, so that will not be possible. Also, when data reader is in open state, the connection cannot be used for another database hit. So here we are making use of the connection, right, to hit the database and execute the execute reader. So when data reader is in open state, we cannot execute one more connection. I mean, we cannot make use of the connection. Once we are done processing the rows, we must close the data reader to unlock the connection object. So once you close the data reader, you can make or you are releasing the connection so that on the same connection you can execute some other queries. It's a good idea to place data reader also in the using black so that it will be automatically closed after the use. In this video, we will fetch records from a table and show that in the Windows form. Now let's go to the code explanation, and here we have a button called list jobs. Between list jobs, click, and you can see here we are opening the SQL connection. This time we are using the pubs database. That means we have to go to the project properties and open a or set up a new connection string. The remaining are same here. Alright, this time we are using the create command method on the connection object. So we already established the connection, right? From connection we are calling the create command and we have the command object. Setting this connection is not required because we are already retrieving the command object from the connection. Anyhow, it will not be harmful. But a command text we need to specify. For command text we are specifying select job ID, job description from jobs. After that we are opening the connection. This time we are making call to execute reader on the command object, and that gives you the SQL data reader, and we call that as reader. Then while reader.read equal to true, we know that when this read will return false. When it returns false, we will quit the loop. But when it returns true, this means the read fetched valid record and moved the record pointer to the next record. So that's the meaning here, right? If it returns true. So that's why we are coming inside. And if you see how we are reading the data reader, we specify within square bracket, we specify the column name. So the column names are job ID, job description, 2 column, right? Here reader of job ID, reader of job description. So that's the way we are reading the content, and using the string format. Here job ID, this is the positional notation, and the content of 1 goes here. Content of 2 is reader of job description, that will go here. And what we are forming here is job ID. We will specify whatever is the ID, and within the square bracket, here you can see the square bracket notation, right? Within the square bracket we have curly braces of 1. That means the content goes inside that. So simply we are printing, for example, job ID 1 within square bracket sales manager, right? Since That's how here we are printing, and we are printing job ID colon 1 within square bracket the description of the job. So once this string is formed one row, we are appending that to the multi-line text box. Alright, and then we are iterating the loop here using the read method. So that's also, we will read all the record and we are printing it here. Now let's go to the demo. First let's go to SQL Server and we will do select star from jobs. We need pubs, right? So, and what we are taking is job ID as well as job description. Both we are taking, and there are 14 records. We will list all these 14. Before that, we will go to our project solution explorer. Right click here, choose properties, or double click on properties. We already have Northwind, right? This time we will go for pubs. So that's the database. Here we will choose connection string, application wide connection string, server name, localhost, Windows authentication, and if you need SQL Server authentication, you can choose SQL Server and provide username and password. Here we are going with the integrated security and choosing pubs. So save all. Now pubs also ready here. We'll go to design and double click on this list job to have event handler. So that's all. We just implemented the list job. Click create command for select query. Here first we are creating the connection. This time we are using the pubs. So now our application contains both Northwind and pubs connection string. So nwind also connection string and pubs also connection string. We are storing that as part of a setting, so we are picking it from the setting. Then this time here we are using the create command method on the connection object, and we are getting the SqlCommand, and we are using that command to set the connection as well as command text. Command text here is select job ID, job description from jobs, connection.open. Here we are using the command.ExecuteReader. Since it returns SQL DataReader, we are using that reader.read method, and you can see it returns bool, and the description states that advances the SQL DataReader to the next record. So even though it moves to the next record, while it is moving, it fetches the current record and then moves the record pointer to the next one. So it does both the operation. So it reads the content of the current record and moves the record pointer to the next record. So since it read the content from reader, you can reference those read content using the column names job ID. Here as part of our command text we provided the job ID. So here reader is the SQL data reader. With a square bracket we are reading the column name job ID, and in the next to read the next column we specified a reader of job description. So here we have the comma separated list. To the string dot format we are substituting these with 0 and 1 with job ID and the job description. Since the row is ready here in string format, we are adding it to the multi-line text box. Previously we used this multi-line text box just to say how many rows affected, right? Now we will use the same multi-line text box to state the read records or to display the read records. Alright, now we will rebuild the solution and run the content. This time we are using the ExecuteReader to read rows of data from the database, and we are listing that here in the multi-line text box. And you can see job ID 1, new hire. So there are 14 jobs we saw, right? And we listed all 14 here in the multi-line text box here. For verification purpose, let's refer job ID 6, managing editor. And here if you look, job ID 6, managing editor, we are picking only 2 columns, right? We skipped the min level and max level, that's why those are all not displayed here. Or here, since we picked only 2 columns, that we referred here while iterating the content. Alright. That's all here in this video. Thank you for watching. Bye.